the drive, goes inside the floor. Scoops it up. Booker brings the boom.
NBA Hardwood Show back on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel here for a nice little 4-game NBA slate over on DraftKings. And I got my man DC ready to break it down here, talk a little association. DC, you ready to talk some ball here?
I'm ready. Yeah, 4-gamer tonight. And I think a pretty fun one. So yeah, let's get to it.
Yeah, it's definitely a pretty fun slate here. I like these smaller slates, and a little later start too. 8:00 here. DC is the first game of the night, and then you got 9, 10:30, and 11. So it's gonna be a late night here if you're updating teams, staying up watching the games, which I probably will be because not much sports going on. DC, we gotta stay up for some of the sports talk.
We do, yeah. Obviously, NFL Week 17 winding down yesterday, and crazy Week 18 coming, and then playoffs, more importantly. But for tonight, four NBA games is what we got. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yep. 4 NBA games is what we got. And then good thing is we do have games like all throughout the day tomorrow. We got a bunch of like 3:00 games and then 7:00 games. So we will get some NBA action at least tomorrow during New Year's Eve, which is always a good time. I'm sure they'll break the slate up or something like that and do like a smaller early one and then a bigger late one. But that's always good. We'll get some NBA throughout the day here. But 4 games to break down here. Let's dive into it. We'll go by the Saber Sim, obviously, order. The 8:00 game starting us off. Philly and Memphis here. Still no Zach Edey out for the Memphis Grizzlies. And big news to wait on here. Joel Embiid is questionable in this game. And DC, I think, it is a 4-game slate, so there's still going to be some plays, but I do think the Embiid news, is he in or out, is definitely, something that could change what I'm doing here with Philadelphia.
Yeah, I think maybe tied for the second biggest news of the day that we're waiting on as of now. Keontae George, also questionable. That'll have a big impact on Boston and Utah. I do expect Keontae to be in there. Embiid, less sure about that, obviously. No real new injury or anything like that. Just the injury maintenance for him, right? Which
just being Joel Embiid, waking up every day, dealing with the whatever fucking issues that guy deals with on a daily basis. I'm sure his knees are all effed and whatever. So yeah, it's just being Joel Embiid.
Do you think he knows, like right now, if he's going to play or not?
I do.
Yeah,
I do. Honestly.
I would imagine so, but we don't have that information. So
think about it though. Like some of these guys, it's like, are they truly questionable? Yeah. Some of them, do they truly need to go out and like test out their injury? Yeah. But I don't think Joel Embiid's one of them. I think Joel Embiid, they have like a schedule and maintenance and, we're going to list you here just in case. You never know because we don't want to get fined. But like, I think they know one way or another.
We need more injury designation tags. So right now you got the, playing, doubtful, questionable. We need the teams need to assign a probability of playing. We can test where they end up at the end of the year. Then they need to be within a specific band when it's all said and done. Otherwise,
because you got like questionable, like, hey, I'm truly going to test this thing out before the game and see if I can give it a go. And then we got like questionable. We just don't want to get screwed if at the last minute we decide to pull. Like it's different with guys like Embiid, but just in general, I agree. There's almost like 2 types of questionables, but we don't know which one it is. Whenever we see questionable, we just have to assume or guess.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold my breath on that coming up anytime soon. But hey, put it on the wish list for NBA. It's a long wish list for me on the changes the NBA should make. But yeah, for now, You just got to break down every game with the questionable players as 50-50, right? Do your analysis with Embiid in, with Embiid out, and then hopefully be as ready as you can for when the
The
news.
good thing is the game's the first game on the slate.
Yes.
So we will have the news. We'll
Yeah.
just have it, closer to game time here. And yeah, I mean, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it is. We'll probably know by like 5, honestly. He'll probably get the in or out tag. But
anyway, enough with the NBA wish list. Going back to the game, obviously Philadelphia side depends a ton on Embiid. I do think pretty good matchup for Embiid here if he does go. He's been better recently. Last 4 games, almost at 50 fantasy points per game over those 4. It's a pretty good output for $8,300 price tag in a good matchup on a 4-game slate. So kind of hope he sits so I don't lose with the Embiid dud. But if he is in there, I'll certainly consider him. If he's out, biggest bumps I think go to, of course, Tyrese Maxey. And then I think secondarily to the wings like Edgecombe and Paul George. But again, depends on Embiid. If Embiid plays, I think he's probably my favorite 76er to play at that price tag. So we'll see on him. And then, Memphis playing at a fast pace and playing decent basketball overall. Out and in for them, really just Jock Landale we're waiting on. We do know KCP, Vince Williams going to miss this game. Obviously, Zach Edey with the long-term injury as well. But, who you want from Memphis kind of depends on Embiid a little bit as well, just in terms of the matchup, right? Pace goes up when he sits. Defense gets a little bit worse. You and I both like playing Andre Drummond a little bit on the games that Embiid sits. I think that would hold true tonight. So maybe the Maxey Drummond combo that we like would be in play if Embiid does sit.
Yep.
On the Memphis side, we've talked a lot about Santi Aldama, who continues to have – it's kind of like boom or bust performances, right? Depending on the matchup on a given night. I think that would hold true tonight, especially if Landale does end up sitting. Morant at 7,300, just not showing a ton of upside. The minutes limit around 25 to 30 still appears to be there. So not a ton of interest there. I don't love the Memphis side as it sits right now, but a little bit more interest in if Joel Embiid does sit. I think the pace from this game would improve in that scenario.
Yeah, so I do think that a couple things here in terms of Joel Embiid, I think you broke it down perfectly. Like if he's out, I'm gonna probably like Andre Drummond and Tyrese Maxey. I think they're both pretty good plays here. I think you could also kind of throw into the boat like a Paul George or one of these like secondary Edgecombe, one of those guys, probably not both, but one here. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for value. I don't think he's someone I'm looking at right now, but maybe a Jared McCain on a small slate you could kind of keep in the pool. Dominic Barlow also, if Joel Embiid was out, I think is another guy you could keep in here. So there's definitely more plays. If Joel Embiid's in, I agree with you. He's been playing better, but if Joel Embiid's in, I'm not going to like the spot as much for most of these guys here, but maybe it gives us Maxey just lower owned. So maybe I can just go to Maxey at lower ownership. But I do think the Memphis side is a little more interesting, especially if I would like to see no Jock Landale again, because Jock Landale was actually had a pretty solid role. And when he's in the game, he's productive, DC. Like at 5,600, I'm probably not playing him in DFS because his minutes seem somewhat capped a little bit. But like the production is there. Like when he's in 21 minutes, 17 and 8, 26 minutes, 11 and 10. Like he's producing. And when he's off the floor, I think you just get like the nut kind of run out for Jaren Jackson and Santi Aldama that you don't get as much when he is there, because I think you get a little a little more of maybe like a minutes boost or minutes ceiling for one of them with him out, just because they're lacking with bigs. I mean, like no Edie, Brandon Clark still out. They did bring in Koloko, who played a decent role with him out, but still, like, I think that news kind of does help those other guys a little bit. If Landell's out, I know we talked mostly about Edie, but if Landell's out, does that give you any interest in a Christian Koloko, a GG Jackson, any of these secondary guys that have been playing minutes? Because I think I would have some interest in them on a small slate.
Yeah, maybe on the small slate with just 4 games. I mean, Koloko, 28 and 25 minutes in the last 2 games at 4,100. Not sure he's got a huge ceiling, but you can get away with a lower ceiling at that price tag, obviously on a smaller slate. So he'd be in play. Jaren Jackson, by the way, finally living up to the price tag. He scored 40 plus fantasy points in 6 of his last 7 games, in 50 plus in 3 of those 7 games. Yeah, maybe he didn't like us trying to send him to China. So yeah,
it's funny. He dipped down at or below 7K, and then all of a sudden he started ramping up production with the Jaren Jackson train, putting together some big games for the people here. So shout out to Jaren Jackson.
Only took him 3 months to warm up, but he is playing better basketball now. I don't think I'd get there if Landale plays, but if Landale's out, I think you can consider Jackson and Aldama. They have had a few big games in the same game, but I do think on any individual team, I'd prefer to split them up, to try to capture as much upside as possible from either one. And then, yeah, maybe Memphis a little bit more thin at the wing than I was giving them credit for with Williams and KCP out. So guys like Coward, Jalen Wells. I don't know if I can do Jalen Wells at 5,400, but I think Coward at 63 or 5,800 rather, decent play with the guys who are out, even given, I'm not sure he's affected by Landale too much. So yeah, Memphis wings, I think, in play here, especially if we anticipate the more pace up game if Embiid and Landale both sit.
Yeah, I'm definitely, if Landale sits, I'll definitely have some interest in Koloko and GG Jackson here. GG Jackson for sure, also playing pretty good right now, getting in the rotation, playing minutes. Do like to see that. I thought he was always talented. And yeah, if Landale's out, I think I'm going to play one of Aldama or Jaren Jackson. They've been playing a lot better. I can't play Ja. The minutes, just the play in general, I can't do it. I'm probably not going to play Coward. Wells, I probably won't get to them, but if I were to pick one, it'd probably be Coward here. Cam Spencer now back to still a decent role for Cam Spencer with Ja back, but not the full role with Ja out. I don't think we can play him at 6,300, even though he's still good. 6,300 might just be a little too much. So yeah, no, Memphis is definitely interesting, and I'll have more interest if kind of the news goes my way with them. Appreciate you, Playmaker 23 Workbench 55. Love that username right there. Appreciate you. Terrence Ferguson did come through for me last night. I'd love to be in the same room as Embiid, the kid says, so I can call him a pussy to his face and kick him in the shin. I'd win that fight easy. I don't kick him in the shin. Hey, go for the knee, bro. Go for the knee. Cave that knee in. It's probably already weak. Like, just go right for the knees. Jaren Jackson maybe.
Embiid would probably flop before you even engaged in combat, so you might win anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Embiid's a big dude, but got to go for the knees. Got to go for the weak point. What's going on, Corey Holt? Good to see you guys in chat. I do think the bigs are better plays if Embiid sits. I agree. Jaren Jackson, I'm a little more afraid of if Embiid's in. So that's another reason why I kind of want to wait and see on this game. Let's go to the Celtics and the Utah Jazz here. I mean, big thing with the Celtics right now is just how good Jaylen Brown has been, how consistent he's been. The minutes are solid. 37 minutes last game, 37 points. He's not like crushing in the other statistical departments every single game, but like he does have those games, DC, where he's scoring and he's, getting rebounds, getting assists, doing a lot of those things, which is where you get those like massive spike games where he goes from like the high 40 games to like, or 50 to like a 60 ball. And that's kind of what you want for him. 9,400 against Utah feels like a good spot for old Jaylen Brown here. My thing is like, who else besides Jaylen Brown can I really sell myself on? Derek White still feels a tad expensive. Peyton Pritchard, with everyone healthy, is a little more boomer bust than I'd like, but it is a 4-game slate, and I'd rather the 6,400 price tag than the 7,400. So maybe Pritchard in play for Boston. Keita seems like a guy like he's just safe. Like he's going to get you mid to high 20s probably. Does that help you take down a GPP? Probably not. But it's a good matchup for these Celtics here. It's just a matter of like, who do I want to play? My boy Hugo Gonzalez continues to play well. 30 minutes last time out against Portland and 28 fantasy points. He's 4,200. What are we doing here with the Celtics?
To me, Boston seems like a team, and they're pretty much fully healthy, at least in terms of, new injuries. Obviously, Tatum, the long-term stuff, but do have a big total in this one. I mean, the game total in this one sits at 242. Boston favored by around 8, so you're looking at around 125 team total for Boston. So,
which is interesting for Boston because they don't play at like a fast pace, but the matchup with Utah might just be so good.
Yeah, good spot for Boston overall. They seem like a team where you want like one piece from the team, right? You don't want to go too crazy with these guys, I don't think, because they're unlikely to get there all together. It just doesn't happen that often. But also a team you probably don't want to ignore entirely. I bet they do have at least one guy really go off. I agree with you. Jaylen Brown does seem like the best bet for that. And he does also fill that small forward position, which can often be the hardest spot to fill on your lineup. So, yeah, I like Jaylen Brown. Pritchard, I think, would be second, White third, and then Keita, I'm with you, more of a last guy in. If you've got a lineup you like, you got 5,300 left in the center position, maybe you take your 25 and hope to win elsewhere, but not a guy I'm expressly targeting. I do, like I said, Brown, I think the best way to go with Boston, and probably just limiting to one, maybe two Boston guys per lineup. And then obviously the Utah side really depends on the Keontae George news. He's been playing really well. 2 awesome games in a row. I don't know if you saw either the Spurs game or the Detroit game, but
Keontae Spurs game, he was balling.
Yeah, I watched that Detroit-Utah game as well. He looks good out there, playing at home, playing with energy, assuming he's good to go with the illness, which I think is the most likely scenario. He's probably my favorite way to go on Utah overall. They do get Markkanen's kind of been in and out of the lineup. He'll be in there, but they did lose Ace Bailey, so that does open up minutes on the wing a little bit. I think Bryce Sensabaugh, somewhat of an interesting play at 4,400. I believe he started last game, 33 and 34 minutes in each of the last 2. Not huge performances, but he's kind of a guy who can get hot and score in a hurry, right? So I do think the upside is there for Sensabaugh at 4,400. I like him, kind of regardless of anyone missing. But if Keontae George misses, bump to Sensabaugh. And then if George is out, biggest bump, of course, would go to Isaiah Collier, who I assume would start. Really good passer of the ball is Collier. Man, he can really zip it. Good. I would really like his assist props. I mean, he only had 4 last game, but prior to that, he'd been at 9, 4 games in a row, 13 in there, 8 and 8. Good chance for double-digit assists if Keontae George does sit in 4,300. He'd be, I think a core piece of my lineup would Collier be if George does sit. The bigs, I think, less interest here. They've got Markkanen, Filipowski, Nurkic all ready to go. Missing Kevin Love, but he's only in there for a few minutes per game. So mostly looking at, I think, the backcourt here for Utah. Svi, just don't see a lot of upside for him, even at 3,700, but probably a decent value play if Keontae George sits. But yeah, I do like George if he's in there. Collier if he's not. And then Sensabaugh kind of regardless.
Yeah, Kevin Love, I mean, he seems like more of a guy like when one of Yusuf Nurkic or Filipowski would be out. Still, he'll get minutes here and there, but they're resting him for, I think, the second game in a row. And I do have some interest in Yusuf Nurkic. I do think he's just been playing really well. You watch him play, and honestly, Collier, his role, he still has a good role with Keontae in. Yeah, would his role increase? Yes, it would. He'd be a much better play, but still, he's already a pretty good play in my eyes right now, DC, just at his price tag right now. And I think Nurk gets like a nice little bump the way he plays with Keontae out, because Nurk can play with the ball in his hands at the top of the key. They can run stuff through him a little bit more if they needed to. And I think he would have to just be a little more aggressive in general. If you watch him play, he's not one of those bigs that like, he's not taking 15, 20 shots a night or anything like that. He's more of an all-around player, distributor, stuff like that. But he can score when he needs to. And I do think the price tag at 6K makes me very interested. I think Utah could be the best plays on the board if the news goes the right way too. If Keontae's in, I think Keontae's an extremely good play here, obviously. But if Keontae were to be out, DC, then I think we got to load up on Utah here. I think we got to load up on Utah and go heavy on them as a team. Marketing would be more in play, even in a tougher spot. Like I said, Nurk, Collier would be a lock for me. I like your take on Sensabaugh, just the minutes in general. They look good just with Ace out. So that's one thing. And then a sneaky play, Walter Clayton, I think, is the one that gets the other massive bump here. Because like I said, I already think Collier's a good play on the surface right now. Walter Clayton would go minutes-wise, DC. He'd get the biggest minutes bump, I think, of anybody here. And I think it would make him an amazing play, too, at 3,400. So I kind of already don't mind, like in deep tournament play, I think Walter Clayton is someone you should keep in the pool, even if Keontae's in, because he's got the upside and he's got a cheap price tag. But if he's out, man, you got to load up on these guards here. These guards, Nurk, I really like them.
Yeah, I agree with that. Again, just assuming for now Keontae sits. Collier, well, he really thrives is in transition game, right? He's kind of a speedster, a great passer, but he's not, he kind of gets bogged down a little bit when the game turns into a half-court grind. He's just not a great scorer, can't really get up his own shots. Could see a situation if Keontae's out where Collier, if the game slows down, where he's just not getting it done and maybe Clayton gets more minutes. And honestly, if George misses, you could definitely play both. Honestly, I think you could play all three of Collier, Clayton, and Sensabaugh together. Yep. But if George does miss, I think they'll have to go, like you said, through Nurkic for offense, because Collier really not great in the half court. Nurkic can do a little bit of everything. Pretty good assist guy for a big man. And I bet they would run things through him a little bit more if Keontae George is out. So, yeah, that George news, obviously big news with Utah. And, yeah, I mean, I think you could play maybe 3 to 4 Utah guys potentially if George does end up missing.
I'll say that I'm definitely playing 3 to 4 Utah if George misses. I might play 3 to 4 Utah if George is in. Yep. But if George misses, I'm definitely playing 3 to 4 Utah in all my teams. That's going to be a spot I just load up on and hope it stays relatively close. And I mean, Utah's at home. You know, yeah, I think it could. So, yeah, I love the Utah spot here. And at least Boston, DC, I know who's playing the minutes. Like Brown, White, and Pritchard are locked in for their run. They're playing high 30s. Some of them might get to 40 in some of these games here. So they're playing the minutes. And then it's just, do I want to take a stab on a Hugo Gonzalez or even like a Luka Garza who's hit or miss with the minutes, but 3 of his last 4 games is played in the 20s. DC, like Luka Garza kind of makes sense in this matchup too, because Yusuf Nurkic is kind of a guy you probably want a Luka Garza on a little bit. He's someone that because like Luka Garza, what they hate about Luka Garza, what a lot of teams do is he just doesn't have like the footwork.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the lateral quickness to stay in front of guys. So any big that's like a dual threat, like big that can pull him out and really exploit that is going to give Luka Garza issues. I mean, I don't know if I think Yusuf Nurkic that's not like his game. So like I think it's a spot where maybe Luka Garza could play a little bit more. So
yeah, it makes sense.
I think he's kind of interesting as like a tournament play here, deep tournament play. What's he's probably not projecting for any ownership right now. Let's see. Yeah, 0 ownership. Look at how far our Jordan Walsh, man, he was a hero for like a couple weeks in Boston. And look at him. No ownership now, 5% ownership for Jordan Walsh. Just the minutes that's the one thing about the Hugo Gonzalez, Jordan Walsh, Sam Hauser. There's a lot of different guys. Josh Minot's still there, even though they've kind of went away from him recently. But you just never know when Boston just decides, hey, I want to go to this guy. This guy's not giving it for this game. I want to go away from it. So that's the one thing that sucks about Boston. The only guys locked into their run or roles are the 3 studs. Anthony Simon's locked into his bench role coming off the bench. And that's it. Like everyone else, they're not locked in. Like Cade is not even locked into his 30 minutes. He could play low 20s and not high 20s. So that's the one thing that sucks about Boston. Has anyone checked on Big T with the Jokic news? Drew, I did. I was worried because last night Stafford was having a bad game and I got no tweets. I got no trolling from Big T. And I knew when I saw that, I said, he's got to be in shambles right now with this Jokic injury. So I called him this morning. I did a health check. He's in good spirits when he found out that Jokic was only going to miss 4 weeks. He was pretty happy about that. But he would have been in shambles if Jokic had a serious injury. So thank God everything's okay.
One thing it did do is reduce Big T's workload a little bit. We've reduced his core plays per night to 4. Normally 5 core plays. He's down to 4. Jokic was in there every night, so we just need the 4 plays from Big T. So a little bit of work off his table.
Well, now there's a little more work though, because now he can't just plug Jokic in. So it's even.
Well, no, that's why we
work,
removed
actually.
one. We removed one for him. So
you just took it out. You just said you can only do 4. I got you. Yeah. That's fair. You got to give Big T a little space during this trying time. I mean, it's a really hard time. He said to me actually on the phone, DC, this verbatim. He goes, I was really enjoying watching my Nuggets nightly, and now they took that away from me because I don't want to watch them without Jokic. Like he's just like, because they're just a completely different team, obviously, without Jokic. It's going to look really bad without him on the floor. So that's a fact too. He did say that to me. So that made me laugh. I did laugh when he said
I tried to call to check in on him too, but he doesn't pick up when I give him a ring. So was unable to offer my condolences.
I got the send button, the shit button the first time, and then he called me back later. He called me back, so I did get the call back there. But all right, down DC 2 to go here. Smash the like button on the video if you're enjoying this show here on a Tuesday afternoon 4-game NBA slate over on DraftKings. Detroit and the Lakers next up here. DC. And, big news in this spot or stuff that we're waiting on, really not much. We've got Austin Reeves, who's already out. He's going to be out for a couple weeks because they rushed him back too soon, clearly, with the calf stuff, and bit them in the ass. And now he's on the shelf again for a few weeks, which is annoying because Austin Reeves has been so good for this Lakers team. So it kind of sucks not seeing him there. Rui Hachimura is also already ruled out, DC, for this game. And we've got Karis LeVert as the sole. He's doubtful. So we're assuming he's already out for this game. And then you got Gabe Vincent, who's already ruled out. So the Lakers do have a couple of, starters or pieces off the bench at times that, they do play minutes, out for this game, DC. It does kind of help them a little bit. But I always hate this Detroit matchup. Detroit always scares me in DFS, but it's a small slate. It's tough to totally fade some of these spots here on such a small slate.
Yeah, obviously no Reeves changes things for the Lakers. Luka, highest projected player on the slate by a decent margin. 12K, so you're certainly paying for it, but hard to argue with it. Like you said, matchup with Detroit, not ideal. I'm just not sure it matters too much for Luka in particular. So definitely in play, depending on the value that pops. If all these questionable guys play, I think he becomes a little bit less interesting. Still in play, obviously, as always with Luka, but less interesting if we don't have good value to pop. LeBron at 9K. Again, I think he's fine. It just hasn't shown the ceiling, obviously, especially when playing with Luka. I think a pretty good chance to give you 40 to 50, but beyond that seems less likely. So I think mostly what I'm looking at from the Lakers is Luka. Again, he's one of the stars that I think is kind of truly matchup agnostic, where it just doesn't really matter. So yeah, Luka looks good. I think LeBron's fine. I don't think I'm going beyond those two unless we get surprise injury news with the Lakers. And then Detroit, this feels like a good Cade Cunningham spot to me. Expensive as well, 10.5K, but the Lakers just don't have really anything for perimeter defense, right? For Cunningham, feels like he'll be able to get whatever he wants in this game. I do like him at 10.5K. Does benefit a little bit as well from LeVert sitting. But I think the player that benefits most from that is Jaden Ivey, sitting at 3,900, played 29 minutes last time out. What did he miss? First month or so of the season. Minutes have been ramping up a little bit since then, and really kind of directly competing with LeVert for those extra point guard / wing minutes. So Ivy, I think, is interesting here. I think you could play him with Cunningham, but probably prefer, for the most part, to play him without. And I don't mind Jalen Duren here either. Had a really rough game against Utah a couple games ago, but other than that, been solid for 5 of the last 6, 7,500, good matchup against Ayton and those Lakers bigs. So I think mostly looking at the stars for Detroit, Cunningham, Duren, and then I do like the cheap punt play with Jaden Ivey as well.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. I like the kind of like the guards. If Karis LeVert is for sure ruled out, like Jaden Ivey for sure. Even Duncan Robinson against this Lakers team, I could see doing enough at 4,300 to get you there. He's probably not like an upside play though, right? Like I think Jaden Ivey's probably got more upside. But as weird as it sounds, like I think Duncan probably for sure gets you like 20. Or 18 to 20. There's like Jaden Ivey's probably the more like or the better upside play in DFS, but I think they're both in play at their price tags.
Yep.
Nick Smith's had a role the last few games, DC, 22, 28, 24 minutes. He is 3,700. I do think Nick Smith is somewhat talented. So maybe in like an MME format, I wonder what's he projecting for right now. Because I think I like the Detroit guys a little more than Nick Smith. But yeah, 37. And like Marcus Smart's there. Marcus Smart's another guy. He's 4,500. And I do think when some of these vets are out, like they will probably lean on him a little bit more with these guys out, DC. So I could see like him being in play, in this spot here, but he is 4,500. I kind of like the cheap plays a little more in this game. I think if I spent up, I actually don't mind Jalen Duran. I think like he is a spot where he could get 45 or 50 in this spot. So I don't mind him. 12K for Luka. It's just gonna matter how the slate falls for me paying for Luka at 12K. As crazy as that is to say, I want to see how much value we get. Like if Keontae George is out, I think it's way easier to just pay up for Luka because we'll just have all the value in the world. Whereas if he's in, I don't know if I want to go to like my mid-tier route or if I want to go like stars and scrubs with Luka. So I totally get him having like the best projection though. And it's well deserved.
I'll throw in a couple more Detroit plays with LeVert, assuming he misses, listed doubtful. Oscar Thompson, his offensive game is not progressing, right? He just can't. Like if you see him in the half court, man, it can get really, really ugly with Thompson with the turnovers, throwing the ball away, dribbling off his feet. But where he can score is against teams that don't play defense, right? And this is one of those games. Minutes are all over the place with him, but this matchup does seem to fit him a little bit. Also, I think they could use his defense on either LeBron or Luka, which could increase his minutes a little bit. So I would throw him in the mix. And then I think we should I wouldn't play them together, but Ron Holland, I think, makes some sense with LeVert out, kind of competing directly for minutes with Oscar Thompson. Both of these guys
fluctuate. Yeah, we're going to play them together.
Yeah, they kind of sub in and out for each other most of the time, but wouldn't play them together. But, if we think Oscar Thompson could get more minutes with LeVert out, well, then those could easily go to Ron Holland, who's 3,400, better offensive player than Thompson, playing, close to 20 minutes most nights, even with LeVert in there. And he's 3,400. So I think one of Holland or Thompson could make sense if LeVert does indeed missing.
Yeah, I like the Ron Holland call. I like it. 3,400, another value play. Good spot too against the Lakers. I'm totally on board for attacking the Lakers here. So yeah, some cheap plays in that one. Let's go to the last game up. Also want to remind you guys, we do have the King of the Court back on DraftKings Sportsbook. So don't forget, check that out. I'm sure Luka is going to be like massively popular on this slate, but don't forget to put your bet in for the King of the Court. $5 is the minimum bet. So, bet a prop, pick a player, $5 minimum. Maybe you win a big chunk of bonus bets there, DC. So make sure you get your King of the Court one in. We'll pick
or you can take Luka and go for your McDonald's value meal if it hits.
Do you think it pays a full McDonald's value meal? Because I feel like the value meal's got to be more expensive nowadays.
I'm with you. I haven't been to McDonald's in a long time, but
I haven't been to McDonald's literally since I was like 10. So
yeah, I've been there more recently than that, but not for a while. I don't know with the food inflation, maybe not, but sometimes you got to see the ball go through the hoop, JSU. So maybe get a little bit in there anyway.
That's a good point. JB or Keontae, I take the savings and go with Keontae if he's in.
Me too.
All right, final game here. Sacramento and the Clippers, DC stuff in this one. We got a few things to go through. Obviously, still no Sabonis for the Kings. Zach LaVine still out here. Keegan Murray is questionable with the calf. We got to wait on that news here. I think John Collins also questionable with an illness. So who knows what's going on with them? Some role guys here. But, Sacramento's one of those teams, DC, they just kind of threw a bunch of shit together to see if it could fit, and it did not fit, DC. And now they're trying to figure out what's going on here. But, we do have clear, like Russell Westbrook's been still really good this year. I know he had the down game against the Lakers it was a blowout. Like it, it just didn't go their way and stuff like that. DeMar DeRozan's had a couple big games recently, two down games, I guess, but before that, 52, 51. So he's flashed a little upside here. They're missing some guys. They've got some value guys. I mean, there's got to be some plays here, and no Zubac on the other side with the Clippers. That takes away one of their main bigs. I mean, Brook Lopez played 36, 33, 20. Like, he's playing a ton of minutes right now.
Yeah, Lopez, up to his old new tricks, right? He would kind of morphed into just like the 3-point specialist with Milwaukee. And that appears to be the exact same thing with the Clippers, just camping out behind the 3-point line. I do think he could probably get up his threes in the half court in this matchup pretty easily. So, yeah, kind of painful playing Brook Lopez, but at 5K, I mean, you might get like 10 threes out of him. He took 14 threes against Portland. So, yeah,
it's crazy.
The upside's got to be there, right? For a player who could get double-digit 3-point attempts at 5K. No problem with Brook Lopez. So I'll have to dig into that matchup a little bit more. But
perfect timing, too. Keegan, just like a minute ago, just popped up as in. So thank you, Drew Carpenter, for that. Good timing as we hit this game here. But, yeah, no, Brook Lopez, nothing's changed. He's just jacking up threes.
Yeah, putting up threes. But, yeah, if you put up enough of them, you can certainly get there at 5K. So I do think he's interesting here. Game should be played mostly in the half court, 220 total in this one. So not a lot of transition, most likely, for either team, which suits Brook Lopez, obviously. And, yeah, we'll see on John Collins. Would be a further bump to Lopez. If he does sit, they'd be even thinner at the big positions. Sacramento, it's like even missing Levine, they still have so many guys to play the guard roles. I mean, so they still got Westbrook, Schroeder, Monk, DeRozan, and then obviously Keegan Murray in as well. So I like DeRozan a little bit at 7,100 with no Levine. Westbrook would be the second choice there. Lopez, I think, seems solid. I don't know if any of those guys are like super standing out to you as better plays over the other. I don't really see that. If you do, let me know. And then on the Clippers side, you got the steady Eddie James Harden, right? It seems like it's 40 to 50 pretty much every night from him, which on a 4-game slate at 9,100 makes him a solid play. I do like the matchup for him against the Kings guards for sure. Kawhi at 9,500, coming up a 90 piece for Kawhi Leonard, 55 actual points. Didn't know he quite had that still in him. I'm not going to bet on that happen 2 games in a row. I think I'll pass on Leonard probably at 9,500, but certainly an impressive game. I think mostly Harden. And then Lopez, I guess, is what I'm looking at, depending on the John Collins news. But this Clippers team gets thin in a hurry when you start taking guys out of there. So not a team to overlook, even with the low total.
I'm still mad at Kawhi Leonard for ruining my Cooper Flag King of the Court last week when we had it until Kawhi Leonard just went nuclear with 41 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and passed my guy by 1 or 2 or whatever it was. So annoying.
You haven't had good runouts on those King of the Court picks, Jason.
I have not, man, especially with we've had 2 now with, $1,000+ in bonus bets. I feel like we've still yet to see an NBA hit in the King of the Court where it's been like a decent chunk, like 200-300, I feel like has been the most. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's tough in NBA, man. It's tough. I did like how they did on the bigger slate, DC. They did the top 3. I like that. I like that. And they upped the pool a little bit. That was pretty cool. So maybe we'll get that again on another big slate. But yeah, those are the breaks sometimes. You pick these off the wall plays. They still gotta, at the end of the day, they gotta outscore all the studs. So but yeah, it's kind of one of the reasons why I kind of don't want, as crazy as say, I probably won't pay up for Luka unless, like I said, we get just like all the value in the world. Because I think this game has really good stud plays on this slate. Like I want to play at least one of Kawhi or James Harden. I think they're both really good plays. Kawhi's obviously been amazing. I want to get to him, but I also think like I think like Russ Westbrook's a pretty good a spend here if you want to spend up for him. I think he's solid, under projected too. I feel like, in my opinion, and obviously you take out his last game, 43, 45, 49 in his last three before that game here, DC. I think he's decent if you want to go to him as a low-owned tournament play. DeMar DeRozan has shown he's got upside. It's a little tougher spot for him. Maybe with Keegan back, that kind of hurts a little bit. But yeah, I kind of like this game here, and I like it from like the stud perspective. I will say Nick Batum, if John Collins is ruled out, he got like a clear bump in terms of minutes for the Clippers. And the Clippers, their bench is like super dusty. So like, he started, he was a plus 25 too on the floor. He's one of the better like players overall. He still can play a little bit. He's old. He stands in the corner. He's another guy. He just like kind of shoots threes, right? DC 4 of 8 from 3. He took 8 field goal attempts. They were literally all threes. Like, that's his game. He doesn't really do much else, but he's also 3,900. So not someone I want to play, but if he like fits my team as the last piece, I'm okay with it. Probably won't play like Chris Dunn. Brook Lopez is another guy. Like, he's got to like hit my team as the last piece. I don't think I'm just going to like want to click on, like, I need Brook Lopez even in a good matchup.
You like Lopez or Keita better?
I think I'd go Lopez because I think Lopez has a little more upside.
Agreed. Yep.
So yeah, if you're putting in those terms, yeah, I probably would go there. But the other kid that I do like and I have played a little bit is this Maxime Reynaud, 5,800 though. Price tag's gone up. Man, the 5,800 price tag's the only thing that's kind of getting me. But DC, he's been really good, so I don't want to forget him. Another guy just to keep in the pool. They've been kind of down on Monk. Monk's minutes have been down. Dennis Schroeder's, his role's not like amazing, DC, but another guy been playing great. I feel like he's a little expensive though for what his role has been kind of showing. And I also, another cheap play, I think, in play on this slate is my boy Nick Clifford, who I really like here. Honestly, I think he's super talented. I think the Kings hit on him from a pick perspective. They need to get rid of some of these vets and start letting this kid play 30 minutes a night. I think he's really good, and I think his game is. I honestly think he's got such like a well-rounded game. They can ask him to do a lot of different things on the floor. He's very well-rounded. And just right now with the guys they have, they don't need him to do like as much. So they don't need to ask him to do as much, but like you start getting rid of a few of these vets, you start trading some of these vets. And I think you could give him a big role and he'd probably be pretty good and excel in it. So 3,900, I like what I see from Nick Clifford. I think he's in play here for tournaments, and I don't think people are clicking on him.
No. Yeah, it makes sense.
All right, those are all 4 games here. Don't forget, guys, smash the like button on the video before we get to the anti-play and plays of the day here. Don't forget, click the like button. Check us out, runpuresports.com, DFS, sports betting. We got you covered. Get in on the winners. DC, anti-play. Let's do this one first here. So I got Saber here sorted with the ownerships. Who is your anti-play on this slate?
I'm going to go with Kawhi Leonard. I know he's coming off the monster game. That's frankly part of the reason I don't want to play him. Seems like he could be a little bit tired still. Kawhi obviously doesn't play all that many games. So, yeah, 35% ownership feels high. And also, I think this is the highest price point Kawhi has been all season. Or close to it anyway. Yeah, it looks like all season. James Harden's still in there. So I'll go Kawhi Leonard as the anti-play of the day.
Yeah, I'll go Derek White, projecting right now for 32%. I'd rather play Peyton Pritchard. I'd rather play Jalen Brown. I'd rather go to those guys. So And I don't think like 40 is going to kill me, even if he did have like a decent game. So Derek White for me, anti-play there. Play of the day, DC. Who do we like as the top dog on the slate?
Yeah, top dog and king of the court for me, if he plays, is going to be Keontae George. Just like what I've seen from him, I like that he's at home. Boston, obviously a good team overall, but they do kind of embrace chaos, right? They shoot a ton of threes, which leads to long rebounds, which leads to George potentially getting out in transition. And yeah, the upside has been there. So I'll go Keontae George. And for king of the court, especially, a lot of people have already made their bets or are going to make their bets prior to the news, to the Keontae George news, and nobody sane is betting Keontae George while he's still questionable. So especially the longer it goes before we get the Keontae George news, and especially if the slate starts with him still questionable, he's going to be underowned in king of the court. I think he's got a decent enough chance to get the job done. So I'll go with Keontae George. If he's in, if he's out, probably will pivot to a more chalky Cade Cunningham as my king of the court play.
Yeah, I really do believe in the king of the court. Like you start like waiting a little bit on it and you let one game go to like most people already bet by there. You know how many people text like who you like, and then I'll text them like, oh, I'm going between these three, and then I'll text them like my pick later, and they'll be like, oh, I already bet it on this guy or whatever, and he's gone. I'm like, okay. Like I think there is major edge to kind of waiting it out, seeing how the slate goes and stuff like that. So I like that.
No downside to waiting other
No.
than you could potentially forget, which has happened to me before. So
yeah, and if the first game smashes and some guy hits and he wins, like yeah, okay. But I do think like when like Tyrese Maxey or some of these studs in the first game like bust or something like that, and you kind of know, and you're still sitting on your ticket, and there's 2 games left or something like that, that does play a lot. I do like that strategy of it.
You can also change your pick based on what happens a little bit in the first game, right? Like if Maxey's got 25 real points at halftime, you can pretty much eliminate 98% of the field. You got to go with an absolute stud at that point. So
right.
But if nobody's going off, it does allow you to go for a little bit more off the board pick. So yeah, waiting. No doubt about it. The best strategy for king of the court, get some more information and then go from there.
Yeah, so everyone knows the way I play king of the court. I'm not going to pick the top player on your team, the top player on the slate. That's just not the way I want to. I want to pick a guy that has a shot, and it's probably a super low chance that they outscore someone like Luka or Cade. But when they do, you're going to get paid out a ton. And I definitely think problem with Keontae George is he's going to be bet. The only thing that could keep people off the bet is the fact that he's questionable, and maybe people don't want to wait or click on his name. So I do like that from the standpoint. If Keontae George stays questionable, DC, and it's 8:00 and he's still questionable, I like the bet even more. If we get the news though in like 2 hours that he's in, I'll like it less because then more people will be able to bet him. So he might be one. I could also wait on the news and then bet like another one of these random Utah guys if he's out. So like, let's say he's out and I just want to bet, like I could bet Lauri Markkanen. I could bet Isaiah Collier. Who knows? Like, you know what I mean? Like I like doing stuff like that also when guys are out. So that's kind of what I want to wait on. And then if the news doesn't go my way and Keontae gets ruled in early, I can pivot to the Clippers Sacramento game, and maybe I can go with like a low owned Sacramento King, like a Russell Westbrook or something like that, who I don't think, even though he will have some because of name value, maybe not as much right now. So that's probably what I'm gonna do is kind of wait on this Boston Utah. I'd like to put it on a Utah guy if I can. That's kind of what I want to do right now, but I'm gonna wait and see how it plays out here. And my play of the day, I I'm just gonna get like Isaiah Collier. I don't even care about Keontae. Like I'm probably gonna play Isaiah Collier too. So I like Isaiah Collier a lot, and that game a lot. I think Yusuf Nurkic is another one of my top plays here. So those are it. Those are the plays. That's gonna do it though for this edition of the NBA Hardwood on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel. Don't forget, check us out, runpuresports.com. Get in on the action here. Tons of stuff going on. College football, NBA. We got week 18 of NFL coming up quick, and then we'll have NFL playoffs and NBA still rolling. We'll have all these sports going on. No better time. Get in. Check us out right now. Get in the Discord if you sign up. Any membership on the board, you sign up for membership. Don't forget to link your account from the website. Get in the Discord. If you have any issues, you can hit us up in the customer support chat. That's going to do it, though, for DC. I'm JSU. You guys have a great New Year's Eve, New Year's. If I don't see you, I'll be back tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Me and Wiley are going to do another best ball show, talking playoff best ball. So until then, we're out of here. Peace.